Hi everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back. My name is Jessica and this is Knits Made by J. Today I want to share with you my knitting plans for fall 2025 as well as what I've been up to, what's on my needles, and I also have a very itty bitty finished object that I would like to share too. So I wanted to take a more kind of casual, laid back, conversational approach today. I know I typically am on here sharing my favorite patterns at the end of each month and kind of talking more in depth about, you know, the gauge or the yarn used and all the design elements of each of the patterns that I highlight. But I have been getting questions from people in the comments about me, and I just thought this would be a nice opportunity to get to know each other. Obviously, if you don't want to listen to me rambling on, you can skip ahead to the patterns by all means. Go ahead and do that. Um, but yeah, so let's just get started. I was hoping I would get a video up last week, but it has been a crazy few weeks here. My son, my youngest, he turned 1 a few weeks ago, so we had family coming into town to celebrate with us, and that kind of slowed down my knitting. And also just with my kids being back in school too, it's just been hectic around here. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like once the kids are back in school, like all it takes is like one blink of an eye and it's the holidays. I mean, my kids have been talking about what they're going to wear for Halloween since July. So, um, but aside from all that, the positive is that it's almost fall. Um, I think we're going to be one day away from fall when I post this, so I'm very, very excited about that. I love everything fall, and I also really love the winter here too, which is kind of crazy because I don't hear very often people say that they love winter in Chicago. I grew up in Ireland. I know a lot of people have been asking me in the comments, like, what is that accent? um, I grew up in Ireland and I moved to the US 10 years ago, but I did not have much experience with snow growing up as a kid. It does not snow there very often, and when it does, it's like a little dusting of snow. So when it snows here, I'm very much one of the kids. I get so excited. I love snow days. I love curling up on the couch with a hot cup of coffee and a blankie, looking out at the snow. I love the blue skies in the winter, reflecting off the snow, and it just makes me so happy. But I can say the same for fall here. It's just so beautiful and stunning. I love when the temperature cools down, but it's still like t-shirt weather and crisp leaves are falling. And I love to go picking apples with my family. It's like we don't go a fall without going to the apple orchard. And also, I love that it means it's time to start knitting sweaters and cardigans and all the cozy things. So yeah, it's been a busy few weeks. Also, in other exciting news, I did get to travel to the Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival a couple of weeks ago, and that was really exciting. It was my first yarn festival that I ever got to go to, so that was such a fun experience. I was really strict with myself. I actually didn't buy any yarn. I personally love to plan out my projects like in depth. I'm a planner and I have to have things planned out. And at that point, we had just had family in town and I just had not gotten around to plan for my fall knits. And so I made the mindful decision not to buy any yarn, but I did get this really cute, I can show you, really, really cute project bag. Let's see here. It's from Knit by Pearl, and it's so cute. I absolutely love it. It shows the sheepdog and all the like sheep running amok, and it says here, I have got to get my sheep together. So that just feels like honestly the tagline of my life. I need to get my you know what together. So I love it, and it's massive. I mean, I can fit so much in this, and I really needed a project bag. So that was my purchase from the Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival. It was really cool. It actually reminded me of where I grew up. I grew up in a farming town, and where I currently live is very close to Chicago, and so I don't get to see um, much farm life or agriculture where I am. So it was kind of fun to kind of like almost, even though I'm not from Wisconsin, but kind of like get back to old roots. It's really cool to remind myself of where the yarn I use every day comes from. You know, obviously I know where it comes from, right? It comes from sheep and alpacas and um, all of that. But it was just kind of nice to have that kind of like face to face reminder. And we were fortunate enough to see some newborn lambs that were born like the weekend of the festival. And that was just so endearing and beautiful to see the little lambs still trying to figure out how to walk and their mothers taking care of them, and my kids had a blast, and I just loved seeing them in that environment. There was like two huge barns of vendors, lots of beautiful yarn to choose from, and yeah, I can't recommend it enough. If you're near Wisconsin, definitely check out their Woolen Fiber Festival next year. It is very, very worth it. Um, so back to where I was. Oh, yes. And then also, I did set up my Instagram account. So if you would like to follow me there too, please do. The link is in my description. I think it would be really fun if viewers are interested. Maybe in the future we could do like a Q&A on there, and you know, I can record a Q&A video here on YouTube, but those are plans down the line. But please feel free to follow me over there so that you can watch more, you know, real time knitting from me. Before we move on to my knitting plans for the fall, I just want to say thank you so much for following me here on YouTube. I never thought when I posted my first video back in June that I would be at almost 1,000 subscribers by September. Honestly, I don't know if I ever thought I would have over 900 subscribers ever. So I'm just so grateful and thankful. And I'm typically a very shy person, so I've really pushed myself out of my comfort zone coming on here and posting to YouTube. So it just makes it so worth it to me that people want to watch my videos and subscribe. I'm just so grateful and humbled. So thank you so much. Okay, so if you're still with me after all that, it's time to move on to what's on my needles, what did I just cast on, and also that small little finished project that I have to share too. And then after that, we will get into the rest of my fall knitting plans. All right, so let's get to it. So I want to first talk about what I have on my needles, and that is the Never Too Late Tunic by Minimi Knit Designs. And I am extremely close to finishing the body of this project. It has taken me quite a while because it's a tunic, but I decided that I wanted to make it longer so that it fit more like an above the knee dress. Just like something that I can put on when I'm running out the door to run errands. I think it would look cute with Ugg boots. And Here, let me show you. So, oh gosh, I can't even get it all in the frame. It's so long. So it's quite long, and I only have like a couple of rows of the hem left to work on, and then I'll be on to the sleeves, and then I can shape the back of the neckline here and do the like cute little tassels. I don't know if you saw, but I talked about this pattern, I think it was in my July patterns video. Correct me if I'm wrong, it may have been August, July or August. Um, it all just seems to like mush into one. All these months, they've just been flying by so quickly. But yeah, so I talk about it more extensively in my patterns video in July, and I've been having a really great experience knitting this up. The designer has done a fantastic job of writing this pattern. It's so easy to follow. Not once have I got stuck in any part of it, and um, I've been using Derirum. I've been using Derirum Natura's Robinson, and it's this like kind of melange beige neutral color. It's really pretty. Here, that's a better closer look. It's very like rustic. I believe it's a 50-50 merino cotton blend, so nice and breathable. Um, and I really like it. I will say it does cause my hands to cramp a little bit. So, with that said, I decided to take a break for like a week from it just to rest my hands. I don't want to end up with like carpal tunnel syndrome or something. That would be terrible. So I took a break from it, and I decided that it was time that I knit the Sophie scarf. I feel like I must be one of the last knitters out there who had not knit the Sophie scarf. And so I decided to just go ahead and do it. I had this beautiful um, cashmere merino blend from Lanes du Nord. It's their Cash Silk Light. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous, like, I know, yeah, it's lace. It's not actually, no, it's DK, DK weight yarn, and it's so soft and it's so warm. It's definitely too warm here in Chicago to wear this. It's currently in the almost 90s here. I don't know how or why, but it is. And so I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer before I wear it, but it is so beautiful and it's so warm. And I definitely get the fuss about this pattern. It was a nice palette cleanser for me, something kind of mindless for me to work on when I needed to take a break from the cotton merino worsted yarn. And I found it very easy to work with this yarn actually. And I will say the only thing, and it's a me problem, not a pattern problem whatsoever, is that it almost became too mindless. And I found one evening when I was knitting up, I accidentally started to knit the decreases on the wrong side. So I had to do a bit of frogging and work my way back to where I was, but it was not a big deal. I think I was just in a rhythm and forgot what I was doing. So yeah, that is the Sophie scarf. I definitely get why people want to knit this multiple times over. It is such a good stash buster project. I mean, I had a 25-gram skein of the Lanes du Nord cash silk, and I wish I weighed it like the designer recommended, because I still have some of that yarn left over from that skein. But I'll find another use for it. It's no big deal. But definitely a great project to use up your leftover yarn with. And I would knit this again. However, I think it's more motivating me to want to knit the Sophie hood. I think that would get a lot more wear, if I'm honest, and it's a lot more practical for me. Um, so I think I might skip making another one for now, and then maybe in the winter plan out knitting the Sophie hood, because it just looks so cozy and so warm. And quite frankly, I need something like that in my wardrobe. Oh, almost forgot. I did cast on for my first fall project last night, and that is the Moby neck by PetiteKnit. So many of you know the Moby sweater by PetiteKnit. This is just the gosh, I'm not sure what they call it. It's kind of like a faux like it's looks like the top of a sweater, but it acts like a scarf. Um, and the word will come to me and I'll put it on the screen, but it is the Moby um, neck pattern by PetiteKnit. It features those beautiful cables that are on the Moby sweater. So I chose to knit the Moby neck because I have yet to knit a cable project, and I wanted to start with something smaller just to like ease myself into it. And I have yet to get to the point where I start the cable design. I did purchase this yarn for this pattern a year ago, and I casted it on then, and I got to the point where I was starting the cabling, and I just knew I was too fresh and new at knitting. It was too much for me as a beginner knitter, so I frogged it, and I put it away because I knew I'd come back to it eventually. And now I think after a year of knitting, I'm able to better tackle cables. So, but I still want to start small. So I want to start with the neck before I move on to any other cable design, or at least in tandem with a bigger cable project, because I do have some planned. Anyway, the yarn that I purchased for this pattern originally is Sadness Yarn's Tyne Pure Gint, and it's their tweed colorway. I believe it's the only um, tweed colorway in that line, and it's like this kind of rustic type feel to it, but it's still soft and squishy. And then to make it even more soft and squishy, I decided to pair it with Sadness Guard's Alpaca Folk Trad in this cream colorway. And this is just so beautifully soft. It's gorgeous. I love it. And together they are a joy to knit with so far. So I don't have anything but good things to say so far. Okay, so moving on from the Moby neck, which is the only accessory pattern that I have planned for the fall season currently. That might change, who knows, but right now that is my one and only accessory that I'm planning to work on for the fall. And then for the rest of my plans, I kind of want to just focus on sweaters. Um, so moving on, the first sweater is the Tulip Loop Roll Neck by Other Loops. It's funny because 3 out of the 4 sweater patterns that I'm going to talk about today are Other Loops. I just think this designer does cabling so beautifully and in a way that kind of makes her garments so contemporary. It's like she's modernized cables. I mean, cables will always be loved for their timelessness, but she designs garments with cables in a way that is very present day, and I love that about her designs. So, in a way, back to the tulip loop roll neck. This pattern is really cool. The designer has a vest version of this pattern. She has a v-neck version of this pattern, and then she has the roll neck version of this pattern, which is the one that I'm focusing on making. And it just looks so cozy. That was the first thing that drew me to this sweater, is just how cozy that roll neck looked. And then her beautiful cables that run up and down the front of the sweater that resemble tulips, and the unusual design on the back. I feel like the design on the back of this sweater is so unexpected, and I feel like that makes this sweater just so much more unique. I absolutely love it, and I'm going to be knitting this up with Kama Rose Sneff Nug in chestnut brown. I spent hours choosing the perfect yarn for this project. I couldn't make up my mind if I wanted it to be brown or burgundy, but then I felt like I don't know if I want to do an entire garment in burgundy. I'm not a big fan of the color red, and I know burgundy is like a much deeper shade of red, if you could even call it that, but I just felt like I like burgundy, but on a whole entire garment might be too much for me. So, but I still wanted kind of pieces of burgundy to peek through. So for me, it was all about finding the right brown. And so I saw, oh gosh, I can't remember. I saw somebody post a picture of their garment on Instagram, knit up in the Sneffnug chestnut brown colorway, and instantly I was like, that's it. I just knew. So I went and ordered it immediately. I don't currently have it on me right now, but it's on its way to me. And I think this is going to be the coziest sweater, and all going to plan. I think I'm going to be wearing this for months to come. I don't have hardly any experience in knitting cables, so I'm really hoping that I just take to this pattern and I can knit it up quickly in time to actually enjoy it. Um, but you know, the winters are long in Chicago. I'm sure it'll all work out. So yeah, so I think this is going to be the first sweater that I focus on this fall. I'm so excited. I I'm very excited to knit with a blown yarn. I knit my cloud sweater using Drops Air, and I absolutely loved the process of knitting with that yarn. But, and I love wearing it too because it's so cozy but so light. Um, but I really don't like how it pills. So I'm really hoping that I can have a similar positive knitting experience with the Sneffnug, and fingers crossed, once I'm done, it does not pill. At least not to the extent of the Drops Air. That's my hope. Um, so yeah, so that is the Tulip loop roll neck. I'm super excited for that. And then moving on to the next pattern that I want to focus on, and that is the Braidy Loop sweater by Other Loops. I absolutely love this sweater. It is, again, another contemporary take on cables, in my opinion. I absolutely love how this designer pairs ribbing with cabling in a lot of her current or recent designs. I picture knitting this up in a burnt orange color for the fall. Perfect color for the fall, in my opinion. I have picked out Knitting for Olive's burnt orange, merino, and silk mohair for this project. So I'm waiting to order the yarn for this project because I also need some other shades of merino and silk mohair from Knitting for Olive, and they have been sold out. So once they come back into stock, I can place a large order all at once. But I've, spent many hours trying to find the right color and shade of yarn, and I have settled on Knitting for Olive. I really love knitting with Knitting for Olive's silk mohair and merino. It has beautiful stitch definition and it's just so soft, and my skin loves their mohair. It doesn't react negatively to it, so it's just kind of like my old trusty yarn combo that I default to. So that is the Braidy loop sweater. I I absolutely love how the cabling starts at the shoulders and like runs along. I think it runs along the back. Let me see here. Yes, it runs along the back too. It's like subtle, but and kind of like elegant. I feel like this design is contemporary yet elegant, yet not, there's a nod to nostalgia, a nod to the nostalgic cable sweater, I guess you could say. It's really a very clever and very beautiful design. So that is the Braidy loop sweater. And then moving on to the last pattern that I've been eyeing from Other Loops, and that is the Twist Light Loop sweater. This sweater is gorgeous. It is knit up using silk mohair held double. So I actually cover this pattern in my July patterns video, and it has not left my mind since. I absolutely love it. I love the traditional, almost Celtic looking cable that runs vertically through the middle of the front of the sweater. I love the ribbing that runs along each side of it and down the arms, and then the way the designer has decreased the ribbing. I just think that is a very beautiful feature along the towards the cuff of the arms, and I do feel like that is kind of like an area of a garment that kind of gets bypassed a lot. For me, it makes this sweater very unique, and I fell in love with knitting um, mohair held double when I made the ivy blouse by PetiteKnit. And so I'm very excited to eventually take on this pattern because I think it's going to be very enjoyable. And I think for someone like me who doesn't have any real experience in knitting cables, just having that one cable on the front to tackle might be a lot more realistic for me. I'm thinking I want to knit this up in a light blue, like a very, very light blue. I'm thinking maybe Knitting for Olive's ice blue shade, or Isager has a gorgeous light blue that I've had my eye on for a very long time, and I may finally get to use it when I knit this pattern. So I do think it may end up getting pushed to winter. Who knows? But even if it does, I do think the ice blue colorway is probably more winter leaning. Not that it really matters, but I do think it's probably a more winter leaning shade. When I look at this sweater, and I picture knitting it up in ice blue, what comes to my mind is the blue skies that we get here in the winter when there's snow on the ground, and the sky is just like so clear, so bright, almost blinding. I feel like that's the kind of blue that I want to knit the sweater up in. So, it would kind of be like a little bit of a nod to home, knitting this up in ice blue. I really do think it will be beautiful, and I'm very excited to knit it. But who knows? Maybe I'll knit up the tulip loop roll neck sweater, and I just won't have the patience to wait until winter to knit this one up, and I'll bump it up the list. It really depends how I'm feeling in the moment. And then moving on to the last sweater that I have, and that is the Rosie sweater by Lene. And this pattern is hot right now, like hot, hot, hot. Everybody is knitting this pattern, I feel like, or at least is planning to knit it. And I'm one of those people. I think it's just beautiful. I absolutely love the rose detail that runs across this sweater, and there's something nostalgic about the pattern on this sweater, but the construction is very contemporary and kind of brings this motif into 2025. And it's just so, so beautiful. I'm thinking I want to knit it up in Knitting for Olive's marzipan, held with their mohair in the colorway cream. And then for the roses, I think it's the perfect opportunity for me to include some burgundy, just a little dash of burgundy that I'm seeking in the roses. So I'm waiting for Knitting for Olive to stock up on their Bordeaux, merino, and silk mohair so I can place an order, because I just think, yeah, the roses on this deserve to be a deep shade of burgundy, in my opinion. So I think this pattern is going to be great for someone like myself who does not have very much experience knitting color work. I have not knit a sweater in any other color than one so far, but the designer, she has constructed this sweater in such a way where you're knitting in the round from the right side the entire time. So I think that will make it a lot easier for someone like me who has only knit like one project thus far in color work, and honestly, like, it wasn't a garment, it was just a cute little purse. So I have very little experience with color work. And so this just the way that this designer has constructed this sweater, it makes it a lot more approachable to me. So that is the Rosie sweater by Lene. So I have come to the end of my knitting plans for the fall. I have kept it short. The last few weeks here have been so busy with my kids going back to school and birthdays and everything else. And I just want to be realistic and not put too much pressure on myself to, um, you know, make goals and hit targets. And I don't want to take away from the fun of knitting in the fall. I feel like the fall and winter time, for me at least, is the most exciting time of the year to knit, and I just want it to be fun. Like, obviously, I want to set goals and I want to come out of it with completed garments, right? But I don't want to take the fun out of it. And I think that's really important for me, at least. I want it to be fun, and I don't want knitting to be some stressful thing. Knitting is something that I hold near and dear to my heart, because it's something for me and it's something fun. And I don't want that to change. So, in a way, all of that said, I've kept my list small. These are large projects. So even though it's only like 4 sweaters and 1 accessory, I know that I may only knit 2 sweaters or 3 sweaters, and maybe my fall plans will become my winter plans. It's fine. It's not a big deal. This is why I'm telling myself it's not a big deal. I will get to it. If I love it enough, it will get knit. A good reminder that I want to share with everyone is to just not stress out. Enjoy knitting, make your plans, but don't stress out about them. Enjoy the process. And I think I saw a reel on Instagram the other day. It was really funny. I can't remember who it was. I'm terrible at remembering names. But they were saying how like knitters created the phrase, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So I guess you could say that's kind of what I'm saying, is just like enjoy the process. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my knitting plans for fall 2025. I'd love to hear what you guys are all planning to knit. Are you planning to knit one of these patterns too? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed watching my video as much as I did making it, please hit the subscribe button. And yeah, have a great fall, everyone, and happy knitting. Bye.